So today we are doing the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, verse 22.
Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna, Gayatri, Mataji, are you able to take us through the purport kindly as I set up my gadgets? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So it is 22nd text from chapter
Yeah,
2, right?
Yes.
Prabhu. Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Tattasya karyam alam bhritanno viglapatyat angayad ugrasenam Tishtannishannam parameshti dikshne nyabodhyad deva nidharayeti. Synonyms: tat, therefore, tasya, his, kainkaryam, service, alam, of course, vritham, vrithan, the servitors, na, us, vigalpayati, gives pain, anga, O Vidura, yet as much as, ugrasenam, on to King Ugrasena, tishthan, being seated, nishannam, waiting upon him, parameshtidhishne, on the royal throne, nyabodhayat, submitted, deva, addressing my lord, Nidaraya, please, know it, iti, thus. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, O Vidura, does it not pain us, his servitors, when we remember that he, Lord Krishna, used to stand before King Ugrasena, who was sitting on the royal throne, and used to submit explanations before him, saying, O my Lord, please let it be known to you. Purport: Lord Krishna's gentle behavior before his so-called superiors, such as his father, grandfather, and elder brother, his amiable behavior with his so-called wives, friends, and contemporaries, his behavior as a child before his mother Yashoda, and his naughty dealings with his young girlfriends cannot bewilder a pure devotee like Uddhava. Others who are not devotees are bewildered by such behavior of the Lord, who acted just like a human being. This bewilderment is explained by the Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita 9.11 as follows. Avajananti mamudha manushim tanumasritam param bhavan ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge belittle the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna, not knowing his exalted position as the Lord of everything. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained his position clearly, but the demoniac atheistic student squeezes out an interpretation to suit his own purpose and misleads unfortunate followers into the same mentality. Such unfortunate persons merely pick up some slogans from the great book of knowledge, but are unable to estimate the Lord as the supreme personality of Godhead. Pure devotees like Uddhava, however, are not misled by such atheistic opportunities. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you all for coming. I see Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji is with us. Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji, for availing yourself today. We don't take this time you've given us for granted, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this knowledge in a way that we can actually discuss it here. So we've read the purport and the Mangacharana. So kindly invite you to take over, Your Grace Radhika Kasturi. Thank you so much for being here.
Sure, Prabhuji. So today's verse, all right. So let's get started. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirmisheshi Shunyavadi Pashyayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Srinuvata Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Hi Abhadrani Vidunoti Sugrutsadam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Hare Krishna, dear devotees. All right. So let's get going with the verse that we have for today. And then, if possible, we will also try going over some of the concepts that we discussed last time. All right. So, dear devotees, it is the 22nd verse that we have from the second chapter, third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. I think Mataji read the purport. I'll just once again go over it. Therefore, O Vidura, does it not pain us, his servitors, when we remember that he, Lord Krishna, used to stand before King Ugrasena, who was sitting on the royal throne, and used to submit explanations before him, saying, O my Lord, please let it be known to you. So Krishna's gentle behavior before his so-called superiors, such as his father, grandfather, and elder brother, his amiable behavior with his so-called wives, friends, and contemporaries, his behavior as a child before his mother, Yashoda, and his naughty dealings with his young friends cannot bewilder a pure devotee like Uddhava. Others who are not devotees are bewildered by such behavior of the Lord, who acted just like a human being. This bewilderment is explained in this Bhagavad Gita verse. Poor persons with poor fund of knowledge belittle the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna, not knowing his exalted position as the Lord of everything. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has explained his position clearly, but the demoniac atheist student squeezes out the interpretation to suit his own purpose and misleads unfortunate followers into the same mentality. Such unfortunate persons merely pick up some slogans from great book of knowledge, but are unable to estimate the Lord as the supreme personality of Godhead. Pure devotees like Uddhava, however, are never misled by atheistic opportunists. So, dear devotees, so there is a contrast here between the pure devotees and the others who are not the pure devotees of the Lord, who are atheistic, right? Atheistic, demoniac. Um, Obviously, those are unfortunate people. And to know who the pure devotees of the Lord, that's sort of the theme that we were discussing last time, right? Who are these pure devotees of the Lord? And whatever Lord does, all that the pure devotees, the way they look at it is they're not bewildered by the act of the Lord. When he performs an act, they're not bewildered by it. They're not like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? Right? But there is a contrast till Prabhupada says, those who are not devotees, they are bewildered by the behavior of the Lord, who acts like a human being, who acted just like a human being. So that's the contrast that's being spoken in this purport. Also, dear devotees, I'm sure you have gone through several verses of this chapter. So if you look at chapter 2, so if you just look at the previous verses, just so we kind of do a recap. So if you look at verse maybe 15, The personality of Godhead, the all compassionate controller of both spiritual and material creations, is unborn. But when there is this friction between his pure peaceful devotees and the persons who are in the material modes of nature, he takes birth just as the fire, accompanied by the Mahatattva. That's when Lord comes, right? It's not that mm, I mean, he's always there. There's the concept of birth and death applies only for us, but the Lord appears in this material world. That is the apt terminology, right? Is not he appears in this material world just to take care of his devotees. The devotees, what are they looking for? They are looking for loving relationships with the Lord, and that's why this Krishna, he makes use of the opportunity to actually, satisfy the feelings of his devotees, the pure devotees of the Lord. When I think of Krishna, how he was born in the prison house of Vasudev, although he is unborn, how he went away from his father's protection to Vraja and lived there in incognito out of fear of the enemy, and how, although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in fear, all these bewildering incidents give me distress. So, obviously, when we look at the pastimes of Krishna, why he does what he does is going to bewilder, right? I mean, obviously, it's not easy for us to understand or decipher, and that's kind of what is being spoken about here. In the purport also, it's being clarified. For example, Uddhava knew perfectly well Lord Krishna is an eternally existent and he can neither die or disappear for good, yet he lamented for Lord Krishna. When he was not there in this material world, obviously there was lamentation because there was feeling of separation from the Lord. Because he was still in this material world and without the presence of the Lord, it looked like something else for him, right? That's the feeling that Uddhava was going through. All these arrangements are perfect. All these events are perfect arrangements to give perfection to his supreme glories. It is for enjoyment's sake. When a father plays with his little son and father lies down on the floor as if defeated by the son, it's just to give little pleasure to his son, nothing more. But Lord is all powerful. Is possible for him to adjust opposites such as birth and no birth, power and defeat, fear and fearlessness. The pure devotee knows well how it is possible for the Lord to adjust these opposite things. But he laments for the non devotees who, not knowing the supreme glories of the Lord, they consider him imaginary. And because there are so many apparently contradictory statements in the scriptures. Factually, there is nothing contradictory. Everything is possible when we understand the Lord as the Lord and not one of us with all imperfection. This is very, very important, dear devotees. See, that's why what is the perception of the pure devotee, right? He understands why he is a pure devotee. If you were to say, if we have to remember Lord Krishna 24/7, without a break, without pausing a moment, that's happening because of love. Obviously, this a person, whoever is able to remember the Lord in such a manner, is full of love with the Lord, and that's why he's able to do it. And how is he able to love the Lord? Uh, See, you love a person when you know about him, his glories, his whatever, everything you know in and outs about him, and that's how you start loving a person. Like that, when we study the scriptures from our Guru Maharaj or from elevated devotees, we understand Shastras in a way it should be understood. Otherwise, Shastras can be understood in a contradictory way. If, say, a Mayavadi was to interpret a verse versus a pure devotee was going to interpret the verse, we would absorb the essence of a pure devotee and we would close our ears and not even listen to what a Mayavadi has to say about the particular verse in the scripture. This is the difference. So many people are misled by the contradictory statements in the scripture, but there is nothing contradictory. Everything has to be interpreted in the right way. If there were, through the mouths of the pure devotees, that's why we have the purports. That's why we have the commentary, so that we don't misinterpret it in any way and take our own judgments, right? This is why Prabhupada has spent his life working on books for us so we understand it and interpret it in a right way. This is what is being spoken in this verse. And again, another point. So another point that we have to understand is obviously, um, we are not there in that elevated platform. And so to get there, we have to be in association of very good devotees of the Lord. This is something that we have to constantly pray so our prayers are answered. Okay, that's important, dear devotees. And then obviously what's happening here in Uddhava's situation currently, he is feeling separation from the Lord because the Lord disappeared from the material realm. And then after that, we are seeing Lord Krishna is Lord of all kinds of threes and independently supreme by the achievement of all kinds of fortune. He is worshipped by the eternal maintainers of the creation who offer him the paraphernalia of worship by touching their millions of helmets to his feet. So Lord Krishna is so mild and merciful as described in the above verses, and yet he is the Lord of all kinds of threes. He is the supreme Lord in the three worlds, the three qualities of material nature, the three Purushas. There are innumerable universes in each and every universe. There are different manifestations of Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Besides that, there is Seshamurti who bears all his universes on his hoods, and Lord Krishna is the Lord of all of them. So the previous verse we talk about how great is the Lord, right? Everything is a plenary expansion that we, worship. It's Karno Dakshai, Garbho Dakshai, all are plenary portions. They are, and who's the Swayam Bhagavan? That is Lord Krishna. That's what is the superiority from Krishna. Everything else come, but he is the Swayam Bhagavan. Okay. Obviously, it's the duty of everyone, whoever and wherever one may be, to surrender completely onto him. It's not wonderful. Therefore, all that is it is not wonderful. Therefore, that all the transcendental controllers surrender to him and make offerings of worship. So, obviously, our goal or our duty here is to surrender to the Lord in all possible ways. And that is kind of the expectation, right? We just have to expect and make that happen. Okay, and obviously to get there to the platform of pure devotion, one has to understand how to get there, and that's what we will do now, to kind of go back to our previous session, and wherever I left off, I'll try to continue from there. Again, dear devotees, it's a beautiful concept, uh, and I want you to kind of pay attention to it. And of course, you are more than happy, or feel free to ask any kind of questions after we're done with it. Okay. Now, uh, so I think we talked about various concepts, and now I'll just kind of summarize what we did, okay, what we did in the last class. As you can understand, there is only one Param Tattva, that is Krishna, or the Absolute Truth. And he can be realized in two forms, which is Nirvishesha Brahman and Savishesha Brahman. The realization of these two forms, that is the Savishesha Brahman, is again categorized into two. One is Paramatma, another is Bhagavan. To attain Param Tattvam as Nirvishesha Brahman, what does one do? One practice Jnana Marga or Jnana Yoga. And to attain the Param Tattvam as Savishesha Brahman, one practices Bhakti Yoga. And this is done either through Smaranam. Obviously, we have the Bhakti Yoga process, right? It can be done through Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti or Raganuga Sadhana Bhakti in the Bhakti Yoga process. Or if one wants to realize this form of Paramatma, then this can be done through Ashtanga Yoga process. So that is all category coming in Savishesha Brahman category. All right. So now we have to understand that as the see, we have Nirvishesha, Savishesha, which are the two forms of Param Tattvam. And this can be through Jnana Marg, you can obviously get to the Nirvishesha aspect of the Lord. And through Bhakti Marg, we can tackle the Savishesha aspect of the Lord. And what is the entry door to this Jnana Marg? The entry door to the Jnana Marg is Antakarna Shuddhi. And the entry door to Bhakti Marg is Drida Shraddha. Now, if you look at it, So to realize Nirvishesha Brahman, one practices Jnana Yoga. To realize the absolute truth as Sapvishesha Brahman, one practices Bhakti Marg. And if there is also another category, right? The Karmi, what does he do? He needs to do Karmarpanam until he gets to a point where he becomes qualified to either enter the Bhakti Marg, or if he was to go to the Nivishesha, if he wants to realize the absolute truth as Nirvishesha Brahman, then this Karmi does Karmarpanam till he gets to a point where his Antakarana Shuddhi happens. Okay, that's kind of the way that we could reach either of the paths. Now, this karmi is the one who performs karma according to Vedic injunctions. When you call it Vedic injunctions, obviously there is this category of people who are Brahmana, who are Kshatriyas, who are Vaishyas and Sudras as per their Swabhava. And these people perform their karma according to the Vedic injunctions. What is the desire for them? They perform this Vedic injunctions with the desire to get artha, and to use that artha for sense gratification. This karmi, he identifies himself as the body and he's attached to the results of the karma. And as a result, what's going on? He suffers or enjoys the results of karma. You are able to understand, right? No, this karmi, he is performing his karma, okay, as per the Vedic injunctions. Like he could be a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, whatever his swabhava is, according to the nature, he does his job with a desire to get artha. And to use that artha for sense gratification, he performs this duties. And obviously, this karmi, because at this point, Antakarana Shuddhi has not happened, or he is not attained to the Shraddha. So what is happening to him? He is identifying himself as a body. And because obviously his attachment to the body, he's identifying himself to the body and he's attached to the results of his karma. Like if I earn nicely, then he becomes happy. And if he doesn't make much money, he becomes sad. So he obviously suffers or enjoys the results of karma. This is a karmi, definition of a karmi. Now, that's why I said the previous point, this karmi needs to do karma arpanam, where he gives the results to the Lord. And this is done so that he has either of the qualification, either his antakarana is purified or he gets dhrida shraddha to enter into either of the margs. This karmi has an opportunity to branch out to either of the marg. And those who don't follow obviously the Vedic injunctions, they are called the vikarmis. Now, one of the questions that you may have is, who is qualified for which path, right? So those who got detachment from the pleasures of the earthly planet and other planets, and have also obviously they have this detachment, right? And they they feel, okay, I really don't care whether it's this or that. I really don't mind. There's no pleasure or happiness for them by looking. That's why they are detached. And these people who are detached, they are eligible to enter into Jnana Marg. So when the full detachment happens, or that is also called, the detachment is also called Antakarana Shuddhi. That is the entry door for which marga? Anybody here? When you are detached from the pleasures of this earthly planet or other planets, then
This
what is
Jnana
happening
Marg.
here? Antakarani Shuddhi. Yes. And what is that Antakarana Shuddhi entry door for? It is entry door for which marg?
Jnana Marg. Jnana.
Correct. Correct. Jnana marg. That is the right answer. And those who did not get detachment from these pleasures, who are still filled with these desires of material desires, they are karmis and they are eligible for what yog, what marg? If they're
To
not
to
detached.
gi- to give the karma or phala
Correct.
to Krishna.
No. They are eligible for karma yoga because they are
Mm.
still filled with material. They are not
Oh,
yet detached, right?
okay.
They have material desires in their heart, and so they are eligible to do karma yoga. And eventually, as you said, they'll do karma arpanam. they'll give the results of the activities to the Lord. And thereby, they will obviously become qualified to either enter into Jnana Marg or Bhakti Marg. All right, dear devotees? So far, so good?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So, those who somehow or the other, by good fortune, develop firm faith in hearing and chanting of the Supreme Lord's glories, even though they are not completely detached from the pleasures of this world or other worlds, at the same time, they are not too attached to the pleasures either. They are eligible to go to Bhakti Yoga. Okay. So, what are these people they are doing? They are very, very by good fortune, of course, they have developed this firm faith of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. They are not obviously completely detached from the pleasures of this world or the other worlds. At the same time, they're not too much clinging on to the pleasures. And these are the people who are eligible to do Bhakti Yoga. Now we saw full detachment, and then we are seeing, oh, there is a detachment, but it's not full detachment. There is some sort of hankering still, where they are not completely detached from the pleasures this world has to offer or the other worlds. And these are the people who are eligible to do Bhakti Yoga. So now, what is the entry door for Bhakti Yoga? To enter into this Bhakti Yoga Marg, to become a pure devotee of the Lord, Dhrida Shraddha is the entry door. Okay? This is the point. Now, we had a discussion about this karmi, right? By good fortune, say for example, the mercy of sadhu comes in when this karmi comes in contact with the sadhu. And that becomes a turning point in his life. Right? So, if he gets the association of Jnani Sadhu, then the Jnani instructs him, oh, you know what? You are not the body, you're the spirit soul. And this life is temporary. Whatever relationships and designations you have in this world, all of them are illusionary. And the only reality is Brahman. Therefore, he must endeavor for Brahma Prapti. This will be the instruction that the Jnani Sadhu will give to this Karmi if he comes in touch with the Sadhu who's a Jnani Sadhu. So now, in order to achieve that, if he has to achieve that, the reality, Brahman, then he must perform what? Nishkam Karma Yoga. So, meaning he has to perform his prescribed duties according to the Varnashrama rules, and thereby what happens to him? He has to tolerate. Now, Nishkam Karma Yoga is where he's going to tolerate all pains and pleasures in the course of doing duties without expecting the results. And he wouldn't be attached to the results at all. When they come, he would rather offer them to the Lord in order so that he becomes free from the bondage of karma. That's what Bhagavad Gita 3.9 says. So now, dear devotees, I'm going to really explain this concept one more time. Okay, very important concept. If you understand this, I'm sure you'll get an idea of what we're talking about in a gist to attain this Nirvishesha Param Tattva, right? So, what is this Jnani? So, the Jnani Sadhu is now giving instructions to whom? The Karmi, whom he comes across. And this Jnani, he's instructing to this Karmi, what all he's instructing? He's explaining the Jnana philosophies, right? That what is the basic principle there? That they are not the body, we are the soul. And he just talks about the temporariness of this life. Everything is temporary. If you look at relationships, if you look at designations, all of this in this world, they're all illusionary and they're all temporary. And the only reality that we could see is Brahman. And therefore, what does this Karmi have to do now? From Jnani's instruction, he has to endeavor for Brahma Prapti. Now, in order to achieve that line, I mean, if he has to enter that mark, then first he has to carry what is called Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is, when you follow the prescribed duties according to Vedic injunctions, where you tolerate all pains and pleasures in the course of doing duties without expecting any kind of results. And he should not be attached to the results. Whatever comes, he just has to offer them to the Lord. So he becomes free from the bondage of karma. Again, that is the difference, right, dear devotees? When you offer the results to the Lord, just for the pleasure of the Lord, that's a different thing, versus offering the results of the Lord for becoming detached from the results, because they again bind you to this karma. They again bind you to act in a irresponsive way. You know, it could be like you can tolerate pains and pleasures if you are not detached. The main point here is to you can tolerate pains and pleasures only when you're not attached to the results. Otherwise, you'll start crying. Oh, yeah, you know what? This person told me this, and I will never forget it in my life. This is all pain and pleasures. That's why you're identifying yourself with the body. But these guys, they know, okay, we are not this body, and everything in this world is temporary. And I'm not supposed to be attached to the results. Rather, what I'll do is I'll offer the results to the Lord so that I become free from the bondage of karma. Are you all with me, dear devotees? So far, so good?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
Now, so by doing this Nishkam Karma Yoga, the influence of what modes of passion and ignorance are diminished, and Sattva Guna keeps increasing. And this is how Antakarana Shuddhi happens. So to get into the Jnana mark, Antakarana Shuddhi is the qualification. That's how our Antakaranas are getting purified, because the moods of passion and ignorance are diminishing and Sattva Guna is increasing. If you look at Bhagavad Gita verse 14.17, it talks about Sattvat Sanjayate Jnanam, right? The mode of goodness reveals the Jivatma's knowledge that he is not the body, but he is the soul. Antakarana Shuddhi is the entry door to give up karma and enter into Jnana marg. Okay, very important. It is the entry door where you're going to give up this karma, the prescribed duties, and then you're getting into Jnana marg. And by following this Jnana marg, one is able to attain the Nirvishesha Param Tattvam as Brahma Prapti. This is one subdivision, right, that we talked about. If this karmi is going to get an association with the Jnani Sadhu, what happens to him? He would follow Nishkam Karma Yoga, and thereby his Antakarana is getting purified, thereby his Sattva Guna becomes increased, and then his the what do you call, the Rajas and Tamas is decreasing, because of which he'd be able to give up his karma and enter into Jnana marg. That is the qualification. Antakarana Shuddhi is the qualification to get into Jnana marg. But on the other hand, if this karmi gets the association of a Bhakta Sadhu, then he is instructed. What is his instruction going to be? His instruction will be, he is not the body, but he is the eternal servant of Bhagavan. There is a difference, right? He is not the body, but you are the soul. That is different from, he is not the body, but you're what? You're the eternal servant of Bhagavan. And your constitutional position is to render direct devotional service to the Lord for his satisfaction. 24/7. That's very, 24/7 is the key, right? Without any other motive. Also, another thing is you should not be interrupted by karma or jnana. So this is the point. But to do that, what is the qualification? You need Dhrida Shraddha. There is a firm faith in the conclusions of Bhakti Shastras is very important for you. Shraddha is defined as the firm conviction in the conclusions of Bhakti Shastras. And this Dhrida Shraddha is the entry door to begin Shuddha Bhakti. And again, this person, Karmi, right? He's a Karmi. While he is aspiring to do this Shuddha Bhakti, this person is advised, okay, you cultivate Dhrida Shraddha by hearing the Bhakti Shastras like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And you know what? You can leave karma at this point, do karma as per the Daivi Varnashrama rules and offer the result to the Lord. Karma Arpanam. Now, Karmarpanam is also two types. We saw this Jnani Sadhu, this Karmi who got introduced to the Jnani Sadhu, he also does Karmarpanam. We saw that. Doing Karmarpanam out of detachment. I don't want the results. I don't want to suffer the pangs of karma. Therefore, I want to be detached. That is, doing karma out of detachment is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Now, doing karmarpanam out of love, that is Daivi Varnashrama Dharma. You're with me, right? Two types of karmarpanam. And now, what we saw so far, the karmi, he's getting an association of bhakti sadhu. And what he's being told? He's being told, I am not the body, but I am the eternal servant of the Lord. And my position is to serve the Lord continuously 24/7, without interruption. Without interruption. And you should also not be affected by your karma and jnana. That also should not interrupt this process of remembering the Lord 24/7. But to do this, he says, yeah, you require Drida Shraddha. And to get to the Drida Shraddha, you have to have firm faith in the conclusions of the Bhakti Shastras. And this Drida Shraddha, this is the entry door for Shuddha Bhakti. Now, you're not there yet. So, in order to aspire for it, you have to do, keep doing your karma, keep hearing the Bhakti Shastras with faith, and through that process, when you do karma, it has to be in a Vedic regulations, as per the Vedic regulations. You do karma as per the Devi Varnashrama rules. And then what do? You offer that to the Lord out of love. That is Bhakti Marg. That is to enter into Bhakti Marg. Doing karmarpanam out of love is Devi Varnashrama Dharma. Now, this Nishkam Karma Yoga, it is done to get Antakarana Shuddhi, so that one is eligible to do Jnana Yoga. Whereas Devi Varnashram Dharma is practiced and the results are offered to the Lord with love, as long as one does not get Drida Shraddha in Bhakti and Bhagavan, it is what is the eligibility to enter into Shuddha Bhakti. Till that time, this person will keep doing Devi Varnashram Dharma, offering the results to the Lord with love. Are you with me so far?
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay.
So,
Good.
when I read Bhagavad Gita, it said in 15th chapter, similar things. So they say that we have to have detachment and gnana vairagya, which is detachment, and we need to use those tools to cut these attachments to the worldly pleasures and pay whatever the worldly things, and then
So, yeah,
so
for a bhakta,
yes, Mataji. So
yes,
after
go ahead.
we should not even get attached to those as well, and we should use them just as tools, and then we have to keep moving on towards bhakti yoga, as what you are trying, what you are saying. But yours is very clear. Like when we offer our results, our karma, fruitive results to God in love, then we don't even need the detachment in like vairagya. I feel like the way you are
Correct.
telling me.
Exactly, Mataji. You're right on to the point. When it comes to Jnanamarg, the detachment is needed. Okay, to get into Jnanamarg, he has to do Nishkam Karmalo Yoga, and that's how he is tolerating the pains and pleasures. He don't want to be attached to the results, so he is giving the results to the Lord. So he be detached from it. So he's out of the bondage of karma. But for a devotee, he just does this practice of bhakti, right? I'm like how you're doing now. You're just constantly hearing Bhakti Shastras, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrit, or Chaitanya Bhagavat, all of this. And through that process, what is happening here? Attachment to the Lord is happening. You're getting attached to the supreme glories of the Lord. You're attached to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. You're attached to, oh, I want to hear more about Krishna. I want to hear about him all day, all night. So what is happening in the process is you're developing attachment to this Lord, and this attachment is going to detach yourself from the material pleasures this world has to offer. That is why you will say, you know what, given a choice, if I have to listen to Bhagavad Gita, or given a choice, I have to get to attend my friend's birthday party or some party, I would rather choose hearing Srimad Bhagavatam over that. This detachment happens naturally for a devotee. He doesn't have to have this vairagya. He doesn't have to control his senses. Nothing like that. It happens automatically out of love, out of attachment to the Lord. That is the
Yes, ma'am.
difference. But with the jnani, he has to take efforts to control his senses. He has to keep reminding himself, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. I'm not supposed to be attached to this results of. He has to constantly keep telling in his mind to not act in a certain way and get to that aspect of vairagya, right? I mean, he has to really, really be detached. It has to happen. That's kind of how he's preparing his mind. So it doesn't happen out of attachment to the Lord for him. It happens through his practice of Nishkam Karma Yoga. But for a devotee, through attachment, this detachment automatically comes naturally. You're able to understand?
Yes, Mataji, 100%. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so
Uh,
much. Yeah.
no, perfect. Very good. Very good question. Now, so we talked about the thing, right? I mean, the karmarpanam. Now, we are going to enter into a different topic now. What is the qualification to get into Jnana? Of course, we saw that briefly, but I'll tell you what is that qualification. I know we have, maybe we'll go over it for 5 more minutes and then give a stop and then continue more. This concept, if you guys understand, I think if you devotees understand, then that is going to give a strong foundation for anything and everything you listen. That's why I'm trying to continue and have this continuation of understanding the pure devotees of the Lord and how that is possible to attain. And that can be contrasted only if you compare it against Jnana Marg, right? I mean, I can just tell about pure devotees, then there could be some confusion. Okay, what is Jnana Yoga then? I mean, so we need to distinguish the two so you can understand both perspectives and then imagine where we are. We are probably in a karmic, I mean, we could be karmis or vikarmis depending on what we do for our living. But that is what it is. That's where we are. To get into Shuddha Bhakti, we have to have Dhrida Shraddha, and that Dhrida Shraddha happens by hearing of the Bhakti scriptures and then by doing Karmarpanam slowly. Slowly and steadily, we will get there to a platform of Shuddha Bhakti. And that happens only when we, Shuddha Bhakti, somebody who has it only can give it, right? So we have to come across somebody who can give Shuddha Bhakti to us. That's also another point, okay? Even to get to that platform, we need assistance. That's why serving our Guru Maharaj, serving all devotees who are pure devotees of the Lord, makes a big difference. And hearing them, listening to them, all that makes, it just purifies your heart so much. That's all very important, dear devotees. Anyways, coming to a point. Now, what is the qualification to enter into Jnana Marg? As we saw, those who got detachment from the pleasures of this earthly planet and other planets, these people are eligible to enter Jnana Marg. And these people also have given up some sadhanas like Karma Kanda, all that they have given up. And these are the people who are eligible to do Jnana Yoga. Now, um, if you look at it, this person, he has left the sadhanas that give some worldly pleasures, right? He should not be even attached to his work. He's not a workaholic, but he's not even should be attached to his work. Then he's the mumukshu. That means he has a strong desire for liberation, and for him, jnana yoga is the one which will give the result, right? And this stage of full detachment is called antakarana shuddhi. His heart is purified of the modes of passion and ignorance and is in the mode of goodness. Sattva sanjayate jnana. This mode of goodness is like a light that eliminates the inherent knowledge of the jivatma, that he is not this body, but he is the soul. And we all know avidya is what is made of tamogun. It's like the darkness that covers the inherent knowledge of the soul. Now, Antakarana Shuddhi means the heart is completely purified of avidya and it's filled with vidya, which is the mode of goodness. In this state, this vidya is the one which reveals the knowledge that he is the soul. That is called Atma Sakshatkar or self-realization or Tvam Padartha Gyan. These are the different terminologies. You're able to understand, right? Now, avidya is made of tamogun, and this is like a darkness that covers what? The knowledge of the soul. That you are this body. It covers that knowledge that you are the soul. And this antakarana shuddhi means the heart is purified of avidya and is filled with Vidya. In this state, Vidya reveals the knowledge that he is the soul. Now he's no more covered with avidya. That's the point. That is called Atma Sakshatkar or self-realization or Tvam Padartha Gyan. Now this Jivatma is now eligible to give up his karma and enter into Jnana Marga. First he is clinging on to the karma and he is practicing Nishkam Karma Yoga with a detachment to the results of his work. After a point, when his Antakarana Shuddhi happens, at that point, Vidya is revealed, right? There's no more avidya to him. And he's filled with Vidya, which is mode of goodness. And that is, the Vidya is the one which gives him the knowledge that he is the soul. And this is first, that was covered. And now, because it is lightened up, it's able to give that knowledge. And that is called Atma Sakshatkar or self-realization or Tvam Padartha Gyan. Now, this Jivatma is eligible to give up this karma and enter into the Jnana Marga. Next week, we will see what's the qualification for karma. Okay, dear devotees, and then what's the qualification for Bhakti Yoga in a detailed way. Right now, I will stop, dear devotees, because of our time. We are just in the close of the hour. So let's just pray to the Lord. Om. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गौर भक्त वृंद की जय all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas and Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees.
Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. Yes. Yes, please. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much for that great class. Very philosophical as always, and thank you for. I really hope we can get back and that detachment that naturally from the material world. My internet is really disturbing, so I'll kindly ask Gayatri Mataji to kindly take over, please. And maybe if there's any question or comments, I can begin the session. Thank you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Mataji, Radhika, Kasturi Mataji. Beautiful, beautiful session as always. Lot of eye-opening sessions with you. And we will be also, we have to practice more Bhakti Yoga now. Realizing how to, with Shraddha, Drida Shraddha. So everybody can, we all can come to a little bit better platform by listening to all these lectures and classes. Thank you so much, Mataji. And please, if anybody else have any questions or anything, please unmute and please speak up. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for your time. Totally appreciate it. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. If no questions, then please unmute everyone and please let us say Hare Krishna. Please, everybody unmute. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय राधा कस्तूरी माता जी की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Glories to
जय
Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
भागवतम श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय thank you everyone thank you for joining this beautiful session and thank you Mugo Prabhu, thank you so much, and thank you Radhika Kasturi Mataji. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
See you all next week. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.